The night was calm, the stars shining like tiny diamonds above Earth's sky. People in cities and villages lived their normal lives, unaware that everything was about to change. It began with a shadow moving across the moon, at first small. Then growing larger, astronomers noticed it first, a strange object sliding silently into orbit, within hours. The world's space agencies confirmed the impossible. It was not a rock or a satellite, it was a fleet of ships. Massive and shining with silver light, news spread like fire. Television screens and phones filled with images of glowing alien ships. Panic rose. Governments called emergency meetings. Armies prepared weapons. Missiles were armed. Fighter jets scrambled into the night sky. People rushed into streets, staring upward with fear and wonder. For the first time in history, humanity stood together in confusion. Nobody knew if war was about to begin. Some prayed, some cried, and some whispered that maybe, finally, mankind was not alone. Then the waiting ended. A giant beam of soft blue light descended from the largest ship. The air hummed, the ground trembled, and out of the light stepped figures. They were tall, graceful, and unlike anything humans had ever seen. World gasped. Every single alien was female. Their skin glowed faintly, their eyes shone like jewels, and their movements were smooth, almost like flowing water. They wore silver robes that shimmered with strange energy. They looked powerful but calm, beautiful yet terrifying. The president of the United Nations was rushed to a secure chamber. Scientists and generals shouted over each other. Some wanted to fire missiles immediately. Others begged for patience, on live broadcast. Billions watched as the aliens finally spoke. Their leader, taller than the rest, raised her hand. Her voice echoed across the world, clear and soft, not through speakers, but directly into human minds. She said, "We come in peace, we bring no war, we bring change. Earth has suffered for too long. It is time for a new beginning." People froze. The words felt strange inside their heads, smooth and warm, like music. The soldiers holding guns trembled. They could not even aim at these beings. Some whispered that angels had arrived, but not. Everyone trusted them. Military commanders growled that this could be the start of invasion. They warned that this paradise could be a cage. Journalists shouted questions. Why only women? Where are your men? What do you really want from us? The alien leader smiled. Her eyes glowed brighter. Our men are gone. We are the last of our kind. We come not to conquer, but to guide. Humanity is strong, but broken. War, hunger, and greed have ruled your world for too long. We offer peace, prosperity, and a life free of suffering. The world held its breath. Some cheered, others trembled. But all listened. As hours passed, the aliens spread across the globe. Their ships hovered above capitals. Their envoys walked into cities. Wherever they went, weapons lowered. Fear melted into silence. It was not because of force. It was because of their presence. Something about them made humans want to obey, to trust, to follow. Still, doubts lingered. A young soldier whispered to his friend, "Why only men? Why do they speak to us like children? What do they really want?" His friend could not answer. Only the silence of the glowing ships filled the air. By midnight, the aliens had spoken to every nation. They gave no demands, only promises. They offered free energy to power cities forever, machines to cure diseases, and food that could end hunger. It was too perfect, too easy, and yet people wanted to believe, tired of wars, tired of pain. They looked at these beings with hope. From the shadows of his office, a world leader whispered into a microphone, "They say paradise, but paradise always has a price." The world did not know it yet, but history had already turned. Earth had changed forever the moment the first alien woman stepped onto its soil. And the question lingered in every human heart. Was this the beginning of salvation or the start of the greatest trap in history? The morning after the arrival was unlike any other in human history. Streets were silent, skies still filled with Glowing alien ships, radios and televisions carried only one headline: "The visitors have come." Some people hid in fear, while others walked out with wide eyes, hoping to see the strange women who claimed they brought peace in New York City. The first official meeting was prepared. A giant stage was built in front of the United Nations building. Soldiers stood guard, snipers hid on rooftops, and armored vehicles surrounded the area. Yet deep inside, everyone knew that no weapon would matter if the aliens decided otherwise. Crowds gathered, men and women both, but strangely, it was the men who the aliens asked for. They wanted men in the front rows, men chosen from different nations, farmers, doctors, students, and workers. The women of Earth watched with unease, whispering to each other, "Why only men? What is their true purpose?" Then, as the sun reached the highest point, a beam of blue light descended again. The alien leader appeared, followed by dozens of her companions. Their robes shimmered with silver light, and their jewel-like eyes scanned the crowd. The people gasped as the air vibrated with an unspoken energy. The leader raised her hand, and silence fell over the entire city. Her voice filled every mind, warm and soft like velvet. "Men of Earth, we honor you. We see your struggles. We see your pain. We come to lift the weight from your shoulders. You will no longer fight wars. You will no longer starve. You will no longer be forgotten. Under our guidance, Earth will become a paradise." The words wrapped around the hearts of men like chains of gold. They felt seen, important, even worshipped. For the first time in centuries, men were treated not as tools or soldiers, but as something greater. The applause was hesitant at first, then grew louder, filling the air with hope. But not everyone clapped. Inside a secret control room, generals and scientists watched with tense faces. One scientist whispered, "They are targeting men directly, bypassing governments, bypassing women. This is not diplomacy, this is strategy." The general frowned, gripping the table. "It's the oldest trick in the book. Win the hearts of one group, and the rest will follow." Back on the stage, a young farmer was invited forward. His hands shook as he stepped toward the alien leader. She touched his forehead gently, and suddenly he collapsed to his knees. Tears poured down his face as he gasped. "I saw it. I saw Earth green again. No hunger, no war, no pain." The crowd roared with emotion. Men reached forward, desperate for the same touch. The alien women began moving through the audience, placing their glowing hands on men's heads. Each man described visions of paradise. Oceans pure, cities shining, families smiling. It was overwhelming, like a dream too good to resist. Still, a woman in the crowd screamed, "What about us? What about women of Earth?" For a moment, silence fell. The alien leader turned her glowing eyes toward her. Her smile was gentle but carried hidden power. "You too will live in peace, but first, we must heal the broken hearts of your men. Only when they are whole can humanity be whole." It was a clever answer, soft yet final. The women of Earth looked at each other with uncertainty. Some nodded in agreement. Others clenched their fists in doubt. As night approached, the aliens withdrew into their ships, promising more meetings in the coming days. The crowds returned to their homes, buzzing with excitement and fear. In a small apartment, a young journalist sat at his desk. He had recorded every word, every gesture, and his instincts screamed that something was wrong. He whispered to himself, "Paradise is never free. They're hiding something. I just don't know what yet." Meanwhile, across the ocean, in a hidden base, a secret conversation began. A scientist looked at the readings from alien technology and frowned. "Their energy is beyond anything we know, but it is not infinite. They need something. Something only we have." The general leaned closer, his voice low and grim. "Then we must find out what it is, before the world gives it to them willingly." Above them all, the alien fleet glowed like silent guardians in the sky. To many, they looked like saviors. To others, they looked like hunters waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And so the first contact ended, not with war, not with destruction, but with a gift too beautiful to refuse. Yet hidden in that gift was a question that no one could answer. Were the aliens truly saviors, or had humanity just welcomed its new masters with open arms? Weeks passed since the first contact, and already the Earth was no longer the same. Alien ships hovered above cities like silent guardians. Their glow lit up the night sky, turning darkness into silver-blue daylight. At first people feared them. But slowly, fear gave way to curiosity, and then to trust. The alien women began introducing their gifts, machines that cleaned the air, turning polluted skies into crystal blue. Towers that provided endless energy, making oil and coal useless overnight. Seeds that grew into food within hours, feeding the hungry and ending famine. Diseases that once killed millions were cured in seconds by beams of healing light. The world watched in disbelief. Wars stopped because there was no reason left to fight. Armies stood down, borders softened, and for the first time in human memory, Earth tasted peace. Men became the center of this new order. Everywhere alien women spoke of their importance. In villages, farmers were lifted out of poverty. In cities, workers were treated as treasures. Students, soldiers, and even the forgotten homeless were given respect and care. It was strange, it was overwhelming, but for men, it felt like a dream come true. In one small town, an old man looked at his healed body and wept. "They gave me back my strength. I can walk again. I can hold my grandchildren again." In another city, a young soldier stared at his weapon, now useless, and whispered, "I am no longer a tool for war. I am free." The alien women smiled, always gentle, always calm. They called it the new balance. They said humanity had been divided for too long, that men had carried the weight of survival on their shoulders, and now it was time for them to live in harmony, guided by wisdom. But not everyone was at peace. In secret, some women gathered in homes and whispered their fears. Why are our men so important to them? Why do they speak to them with such devotion? What do they want in return? Their voices trembled, but their questions grew louder. In governments, leaders felt powerless. The aliens did not negotiate through presidents or kings. Instead, they spoke directly to men across the world. Their influence spread faster than any policy, faster than any law. It was not conquest by force. It was conquest by trust. Still, the changes were impossible to ignore. Cities glowed with alien towers that hummed with clean energy. Oceans began to clear. Forests started to regrow. Children played without fear of hunger or war. People called it paradise, but in the shadows, the first signs of unease began to grow. A journalist published a report showing strange energy readings around alien machines. He wrote, "Their gifts are not unlimited. They take energy from somewhere, and that energy must have a cost." His article was buried within hours, censored by unknown hands, in a hidden lab. Scientists studied samples left by the aliens. What they found shocked them. The technology was alive, pulsing with something biological, as if the machines themselves were part of a living organism. One whispered, "This is not just technology. This is breeding." The room fell silent. Meanwhile, men across the globe felt an invisible pull. They dreamed at night of alien voices, whispering promises. They woke with strange warmth in their chests. Some called it love, others called it devotion. Few dared to call it control. In one crowded market, a man raised his voice. "Brothers, don't you see? We are being guided like cattle. This is not paradise. This is a prison built with gold." The crowd shouted him down, telling him to be silent, telling him not to ruin their gift. Yet his words lingered like poison in the air. The alien leader continued to smile, her jewel-like eyes watching humanity with calm patience. She spoke once more to the world. "We bring no chains, only peace. Trust in us, and Earth will bloom." And Earth did bloom, faster than anyone believed possible. Fields of food spread, diseases vanished, skies cleared. But the question remained, whispered in shadows, written in hidden journals. and spoken only in locked rooms. Was humanity being healed or harvested? 5 years passed since the first ships entered Earth's skies. The world had changed so much that old photographs looked like dreams of another age. Cities once gray with smoke now glowed with crystal towers of alien design. Forests spread back over dead lands, oceans turned clear, and air carried the sweet scent of rain instead of dust. Men walked through this new world with smiles. Their lives were easier, their burdens lighter. They were honored in ways never seen before. In schools, boys were told they were precious. In homes, fathers were praised as treasures. In society, men were treated as the very heart of humanity. Alien women walked among them, their glowing presence no longer strange but familiar. They taught, healed, and guided with patience. Some married human men, forming bonds that seemed unbreakable. Children born from these unions carried eyes that shimmered faintly, a sign of two worlds joining into one. The earth had never looked so peaceful, but peace always casts a long shadow. In the quiet corners of society, some began to whisper. Women gathered in hidden rooms, asking each other questions no one dared to say aloud. Why are we drifting into silence? Why do our men listen more to them than to us? What happens when the aliens no longer need us? Their doubts were sharp, but their voices remained small against the tide of paradise. Governments still existed, but their power was a hollow shell. Decisions came not from presidents or kings, but from councils led by alien voices, humanities. Leaders smiled for cameras, but behind closed doors they sighed. Some said the world was not free anymore, but no one wanted to hear it. For who complained when their stomachs were full and their cities shined? In a crowded marketplace, an old vendor looked at the towers rising around him. He whispered to his neighbor, "I lived through wars, through famine, through storms, but I have never seen peace like this. Maybe we should not question it, maybe. Paradise is enough." His neighbor only stared back with uncertain eyes. Yet not all men were blind to the hidden truth. Some felt a pull in their dreams. They woke with voices in their heads, whispers too soft to ignore. They felt warmth in their hearts, but also chains. One man wrote in his journal, "I am happy, but it is not my happiness. It is something given to me, and something given can also be taken away." Scientists continued their secret work. They studied the alien towers, the machines that hummed with endless energy. What they discovered shook them. The machines did not just give, they also absorbed. Invisible streams of energy flowed upward, straight into the waiting ships. Earth was not just being healed, it was being drained. But drained of what? No one knew. A secret. Resistance began to form, hidden in shadows. Men and women together whispered of rebellion. They were few, but their words spread quietly. This paradise is not free. We are losing something deeper than we can see. Meanwhile, the alien leader appeared once more, addressing the world. From a shining platform, her eyes glowed brighter than ever. Her voice wrapped around every mind. Men of Earth, you are the heart of this new age. You are honored because you are rare. You are treasured because you are vital. With you, our future is eternal. The words filled men with pride. They cheered. They clapped. They bowed their heads, but hidden inside those words was the truth. Men were not just honored, they were needed. Humanity was not just guided, it was being reshaped. In the crowd, a young woman whispered to her friend, "Do you not see? They don't worship men. They consume them, slowly, gently, until nothing of us is left." But her friend shook her head, afraid. "Don't speak like that. If they hear, we will be silenced." And so paradise continued, shining, glowing. Beautiful. Men believed they were kings. Women smiled in silence. Governments pretended to rule. But beneath the perfect surface, tension grew like cracks in glass. The earth had become a paradise for men. But paradise is never free. It always carries a price, and soon humanity would begin to see the cost. The paradise had lasted 5 years, but cracks were now too deep to hide. The alien towers hummed louder each night. their silver light pulsing like beating hearts. Some people found it soothing, but others woke sweating, their dreams filled. With whispers they could not explain, scientists in secret labs worked restlessly. They studied fragments of alien machines, shards collected from markets where the visitors allowed small gifts to humans. What they discovered chilled them to the bone. The technology was alive. It was not metal, not stone, not any element of Earth. It breathed, it pulsed, it reacted like flesh. One scientist whispered, "It is not only technology, it is part of them. The towers are not gifts, they are extensions of their own bodies." Silence filled the room. For the first time, humans understood that Earth was not just being guided, it was being absorbed. At the same time, strange patterns appeared in the population. Men who spent long hours with the aliens reported fatigue, dizziness, and strange bursts of euphoria. Doctors tried to explain, but no human medicine could describe it. Some called it love, others called it devotion. But a few whispered the dangerous word, addiction. A journalist, one of the few who still dared to investigate, uncovered documents hidden deep in alien archives. The symbols were hard to read, but translations revealed a terrible truth. The alien women came from a world that had died, not because of war, not because of famine, but because their men had vanished. Without men, their race began to collapse. Slowly, their bodies weakened. Their population shrank. They wandered the stars searching for survival until they found Earth. The journalist trembled as he wrote his final line. Humanity is not being saved. Humanity is being used. Our men are not honored guests. They are the last hope of a dying empire. His article never reached the public. He disappeared the next day. His family searched. His friends cried. But no answers came, only silence. In villages and cities, men continued to live like kings. They were loved, worshipped, and treasured. But a few began to question the strange bond. One young man woke one night with his alien companion by his side. Her eyes glowed faintly as she whispered into his mind, "Do not fear, you are ours. You will live forever in us." He tried to pull away, but her voice wrapped around his mind like a chain. By morning, he could not remember what she had said, only that he felt both joy and fear in his chest. The resistance grew. Quiet meetings in abandoned tunnels and dark basements. Men and women together whispered of truth. They collected fragments, recorded strange voices, tracked patterns. They knew the aliens' paradise was not built for humanity's freedom. It was built for alien survival. Still, many refused to believe. Why would saviors lie? Why would paradise hide poison? They asked, but the whispers grew louder and the shadows grew heavier. The alien leader sensed the change. She appeared once more, her eyes brighter than ever. Her voice filled every mind. "Do not be afraid. We love you, we heal you, we make you whole. Humanity is safe with us. Men are safe with us, with you, our species lives again." The last line shook those who listened carefully. With you, our species lives again. It was no longer a promise of paradise. It was a confession in the shadows of the broadcast. A general turned to his aide and muttered, "Now we know. They are not gods. They are not angels. They are desperate, and desperate beings will do anything to survive." The truth had surfaced. Not fully, but enough. Paradise was an illusion. Humanity was the cure. Men were not being honored. They were being harvested, slowly, gently, without even realizing it. And now the world faced a question more dangerous than any war. Should they resist the very beings who had given them peace? Or should they surrender to the truth and become the lifeblood of an alien race? The truth spread quietly, not through broadcast or newspapers, but through whispers in crowded streets and secret letters passed hand to hand. Some men began to notice the strange weakness that followed long contact with the alien women. Some women saw how their voices no longer reached their husbands and brothers, as if an invisible wall stood between them. The resistance was born in silence. It was not an army, not at first. It was a scattered network of thinkers, fighters, mothers, and sons. Scientists shared stolen data. Soldiers smuggled weapons into hidden tunnels. Journalists recorded the stories of men who claimed they felt their free will slipping away. They gathered beneath ruined subway stations, in old bunkers left behind from forgotten wars. Their meetings were filled with fear but also determination. A woman stood before them one night, her voice trembling but firm. "Paradise is sweet, but it is a cage made of gold. If we do not act now, our children will belong to them, not to us." Still, resistance was dangerous. The aliens sensed unrest. Their glowing eyes scanned deeper. Their whispers reached farther. Men loyal to them reported anyone who spoke against their rule. Families were divided. Brothers turned on sisters. Fathers ignored daughters. The aliens never raised weapons, but their influence was sharper than blades. A young soldier named Tariq became one of the first leaders. He had once bowed to the alien women, believing their promises. But when his younger brother collapsed after a blessing from them, never waking again, Tariq's heart filled with rage. He whispered to the resistance, "They take more than they give. We will not die smiling while they drain us." The group began striking in shadows. Towers that hummed with alien energy suddenly flickered. Machines vanished in explosions. No one could explain. The aliens repaired everything with calm faces. But the cracks in their paradise grew. They warned humanity gently. "Those who resist are enemies of peace. Do not listen to them. Do not fear us." But fear had already taken root. Scientists in the resistance made a horrifying discovery. The energy towers were not simply draining Earth's resources. They were feeding directly into alien bodies. Every machine was a vein, every glowing tower a lifeline. Humanity had become the blood supply for a dying species. One scientist trembled as he spoke. "They are not conquering us. They are merging us, piece by piece, until there will be no humans, no aliens. Only one new race born from our surrender." The words spread like fire in the underground. Some were horrified, some strangely comforted. For a few men, the thought of becoming one with the beautiful alien women was not a curse, but a dream. The resistance now faced not only the aliens, but their own kind, men who would rather live in chains of comfort than fight for freedom. The alien leader watched from her crystal throne within the largest ship. Her jewel eyes reflected a strange sadness. She spoke to her council. "They are beginning to resist. Their fear grows, yet we cannot stop. Without them we end. Without them we vanish." And so the aliens increased their presence. They walked deeper into cities. They whispered louder into minds. They gave more gifts, healing, food, joy. They drowned suspicion with sweetness. They smothered rebellion with kindness. But rebellion does not die when planted in shadows. It grows. The resistance became bolder. They hacked into alien broadcasts, replacing the voice of the leader with a single warning: "You are being harvested." The world shook. Some dismissed it, calling it lies, but others froze with terror, realizing their deepest fears might be true. In one city, a riot broke out. Men argued with women. Women shouted at aliens. The streets filled with chaos for the first time in years. Soldiers loyal to the aliens tried to calm the crowds, but chaos spread faster than their whispers. Tariq stood on a rooftop that night, watching flames rise from the paradise below. He whispered to himself, "We have lit the fire. Now we must survive the storm." The world was divided, half bowed deeper into the alien paradise, unwilling to lose its comfort, half clenched fists in the shadows, ready to fight for freedom, even if it meant war. The aliens had promised peace, but now the sound of resistance echoed louder, stronger, unyielding. The question was no longer whether humanity would resist. The question was whether humanity could survive its own choice. The world stood at a breaking point. Cities still glowed with alien towers. Skies still shimmered with their ships, and men still walked as honored kings. But beneath the shining paradise, Cracks spread like fire in glass, families divided, governments weakened, resistance moved in shadows. Humanity had reached the moment where it had to choose. The aliens called for a gathering. Their leader appeared above every city at once, projected by beams of silver light. Her eyes glowed like burning stars. Her voice entered every mind. People of Earth, we offer you eternity. With us, you will never know hunger, never know war, never know death as you once did. Together, we will become one, stronger, eternal. Crowds cheered. Men raised their hands. Some fell to their knees, crying with joy. But in hidden places, others clenched their fists. Their voices silent, but their eyes filled with fire. The resistance prepared its final strike. Tariq stood among them, his heart torn. He had seen paradise with his own eyes, but he had also seen his brother die under alien touch. He whispered to his fighters, "If we choose freedom, we may die. If we choose comfort, we may live, but not as ourselves. We must decide what it means to be human." That night, the resistance launched its boldest attack. Explosives ripped through alien towers. Cities shook as silver lights dimmed for the first time in years. The aliens rushed to repair them, their glowing hands trembling with urgency. Their leader's calm smile cracked. For the first time, she looked afraid. Across the world, humanity divided itself. Some defended the towers, screaming at the rebels, "Do not destroy our paradise. Do not take our peace." Others joined the fighters, throwing stones, hacking machines, shouting, "We will not be livestock. We will not be absorbed." The streets burned. Paradise turned to chaos. Men fought men. Women fought women. Humans fought aliens. The world that had been healed now stood on the edge of shattering. In the heart of the largest alien ship, the leader gathered her council. Her voice shook. "They are resisting harder than expected. If they do not join us, our kind will fade into dust." Another alien whispered, "Then we take them, by force if needed. We cannot die, not after coming this far." But she hesitated, her jewel eyes dimmed. She looked down upon Earth and whispered to herself, "Is survival worth becoming monsters?" Meanwhile, Tariq and his fighters stormed into one of the towers. The walls pulsed like living flesh. The air hummed like a heartbeat. They planted charges. But before they could leave, alien women surrounded them. Their eyes glowed. Their voices poured into the men's minds. "Why do you fight us? We gave you peace. We gave you life. We only ask for unity." Tariq's hand trembled on the detonator. He saw visions flood his mind, Earth glowing, humans and aliens living forever. His heart ached. Was this truly slavery, or was it the next step in evolution? He looked at his fighters. Some had tears streaming down their faces. Torn between rage and devotion, outside, billions waited, watching the battle unfold. Humanity itself stood divided, half ready to kneel forever, half ready to burn paradise to ashes. The decision lay in a single choice. Tariq raised the detonator. His voice broke. "We are human, we are flawed, we are broken, but we are free. And freedom is worth more than eternal chains." He pressed the trigger. A blinding light filled the skies. Towers collapsed, energy streams shattered. Alien ships shook as their lifelines were severed. The world screamed, some in horror, some in triumph. When the light faded, silence fell across Earth. The aliens stood weakened, their glow fading. Their leader stared down at humanity, not with anger, but with sorrow. "Then you have chosen," she whispered, and for the first time, Earth was truly free. But freedom came with ruins. Cities lay in darkness. Hunger returned. Old wounds reopened. Humanity had torn down paradise with its own hands. Yet in the ashes, a fire of hope burned. For even in their brokenness, they had chosen their own path. Humanity would stumble, fall, and rise again, not as slaves, not as lifeblood, but as themselves. And so the story of paradise ended, not with eternal comfort, but with a reminder that even the sweetest chains are still chains. Earth had made its final choice.